Unleash Success podcast, where we break down the secrets of success to give you real tools and strategies that get real results. And now, here's your host, Corey Corpodian.
Welcome back to Unleash Success. If you haven't subscribed to our newsletter yet, just go to unleashsuccess.com, enter your email so you can get all the tools and strategies sent directly to you each and every week. Today, we get to interview Joe Evangelisti, aka the Flip King. He is the founder of the Flip King real estate radio show and the website Operator to Owner, where he helps other people stop working in their business and instead maximize their success by working on their business. Joe is a decorated veteran of the United States Navy. Since 2004, he's been working in real estate. He's flipped over 1,000 homes, has done over $10 million in real estate flips every single year, and sells over $20 million in real estate. He's made some really key hires so he doesn't have to work in his business day to day, and he's going to teach us his strategies to success. Joe, thanks for coming on the show.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Corey. Appreciate it.
Man, what a backstory. I mean, to start in the Navy and to sell over $20 million in real estate a year. How did it all begin for you?
But how far do you want to go back? I mean, it's, I started as a little kid on construction sites, and, my dad was a contractor and a drywall guy. And, so as far back as, I could walk around job sites, I was, with a broom in my hand, cleaning up job sites and picking up scraps and, filling the dumpster. That's kind of where it all started, I guess.
So you got some grassroots. I got to tell you, this episode's hitting especially home to me as I'm currently remodeling my own house. And that has been, should have been easy, but has been quite the headache, as I'm sure you can imagine going through it. So you got some experience as a kid, but you decided to enroll in the Navy first. Why'd you decide to go in the Navy?
I think like all experiences, that you're not going to get them on your own. And there's always somebody who has some sort of influence. And for me, I always had a calling to go in the military, but I kind of thought maybe I would go into the Marine Corps, or I would do some like Navy SEAL kind of like badass stuff. And it just so happened at the time when I was graduating high school, one of my dad's foremans in his general contracting company, and that was kind of like my boss, my direct report of the U.S. Navy. And that was my boss. And, I spent a lot of time talking to him, and he said, you can go do construction and be in the Navy. And I was like, I didn't think that was a real thing. I didn't know you could do that, So I spent enough time talking to him, and he explained to me the whole process. And he was really one of the big influences that got me to go into the Seabees and become a construction, a builder in the U.S. Navy. And that's how I got in.
Wow. I didn't even know you could do that either in the U.S. Navy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. No boats, all air, all land. We deploy by air, and, we really, we do a lot of cool shit, but never on a ship. So
yeah, that is very interesting. So you finally decided to leave the Navy in 2004, and that's when you started your real estate journey. Were you always doing flips right away, or did you have to work your way up, and did you start at a construction company?
Actually, right out of the Navy, I started to work again for my father for a little bit, and in that transition phase, I started buying some real estate. I had a business partner at the time, and still one of my business partners here 12 years later, and we decided to get into fixing and flipping property. And the way I think a lot of people tend to, which is kind of the way you just mentioned, is doing it by hand. So we bought our first house in like 2007, and we did it all by hand. I did all the carpentry and drywall and hardwood floors and cabinets and all the carpenter type stuff, and he did all the mechanicals. He did the plumbing and HVAC and electrical, and the two of us with our wives flipped the house in 12 weeks, and we did it all nights and weekends. I was working for my dad at the time, and so I had a full-time job. I was running general contracting jobs, but then I did that nights and weekends, and I got the bug after that. I realized after doing our first flip that this is something I want to get into full-time, so I pretty quickly got it full-time into doing flips, and got my real estate license short after that, and kind of just dived head first and went for it.
The way you built this up, and learning, and then taking a big risk and succeeding, doing it in 12 weeks is pretty impressive as well. But the timing of jumping into real estate at 2007. Now I don't know where you're at in the United States, but or where you were then, I should say. And but 2008, market crash, recession. I mean, everybody's losing their homes. How were you successful in that time, and how did you navigate through that?
Yeah, I mean, I like to say we got crushed, but we didn't. It was kind of a curveball, but it was a really good learning curve for us. So I literally, I was having this conversation. I'm selling the first 2 flips we did in 2007 next week, ironically, but we had to keep the first 2. We sold them as fix and flips, but the one thing that we always did was we went in with multiple exit strategies, and I still do that to this day. We train a lot of high-level real estate investors, and one of the things I always recommend is making sure you have multiple ways out. And from the first flip I ever did, I wanted to have multiple ways out. So we had multiple ways, and one of those ways was to rent them. So the first 2 deals, we thought we were going to, hit the home runs, and we were going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. And, we ended up hitting a bust in the market, and it changed for us. But we had the opportunity, as in a lot of markets in the U.S., the rental market was still strong. When the bust happened, a lot of people lost their jobs and a lot of people had to downsize, but it actually inflated the real estate market in South Jersey, and it's still been intense ever since. It's still been a really strong real estate rental market. And we managed to keep the first couple that we did, and we kept them as rental properties. So here I am 12 years later, and we're just finally dissolving that first partnership I had, and we're getting bought out and selling those 2 that we first did. But the moral of the story is we could have got crushed, and we didn't. We learned a lot of really, really tough lessons, but great lessons when the market shifted. And I'm really happy that that's when I got into the business, because I know that maybe if I was in there 5 years earlier, I might have made a lot of really stupid decisions that, could have got us really, really caught on the wrong side of things. So it taught us to do things way more conservative approach and do them the right way, in my opinion. And, really, really make the right decisions when trying to buy into the next 900 plus that we've done.
Oh man, what a story at a scale. It's so funny, but having what you said there was really important. Having backup plans. A lot of people, and just personal information about myself is my parents were in real estate during the boom, and we were living in Las Vegas, and I was in college at the time. They were making hand over fist, just money. I mean, it was just so much, flipping homes, 5, 6 homes easily a month, maybe even 10. But the problem was that they had all their eggs in one basket. And the risk is that instead of having a backup plan, instead of being able to hold onto the property and rent it and make some passive income, they were over leveraged at the time. So when that crash hit, they lost everything. I mean, it was a really tough time for our family. And some of those lessons we have to learn the really hard way. Yeah. And, it happened to so many people. And, it's not to say it couldn't have happened to us. I mean, we came super close to it, but luckily we weren't too deep at the time. We had just really gotten into it. So, we kind of lucked out. I have some crazy stories about that time period, but, fortunately enough for us, like I said, we weren't that deep, and we were able to bounce back. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I know a lot of people who had cash during that time actually bought a bunch of property and were able to make, just a ton of money in the next couple of years because the property values were so low, held on to it, rented it out. So you start off in 2007, you learned some great lessons, and you've scaled to doing over 1,000 flips, and you're doing $10 million in flips a year. How do you grow a business like that? Where do you get the money? Where do you even start?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you start from just cold hard doing the work. I think a lot of people, the challenge is, Andy Frisella has a really great quote. He says that, becoming an overnight success takes about 3,650 days, right? Like none of this shit happens overnight. And I think a lot of people are really enamored by this whole push button to millions crap that's being sold to a lot of people online. Like you can buy their system or buy their course or buy their, whatever, and go on YouTube and you can be a billionaire overnight, or invest $500 in crypto and wake up and have $1 million in your account. Like, it just doesn't happen that way. You have to grind through it. And the reality of it is, working through it and learning how to do it the hard way is sometimes the best way. learning those lessons along the way is how you do it. And for me, I worked for probably 4 or 5 years thinking I was an island and thinking I could do everything, and literally burning myself to the ground almost, to the point where, I literally was making, really great money at one point, but working over 100 hours a week, not spending any time with my family, not at all happy, but everyone would always, people would walk up to me in parties and go, "Oh my God, you're so successful. It's amazing what you've built." And, I would go like, "Oh my God, I can't, I don't know what people are looking at, because I'm burnt out. I'm stressed out. I'm worked out. I'm not in shape. I don't feel good. I don't feel healthy. Even though I'm making a lot of money, I never feel like I have any money. It's going in one door and out the other door, and that was the turning point for me when I realized that, all that what people determine or think is success, is kind of fake in a lot of ways. And, I had to make a change. And I realized at that point, that it was people I had to invest in, because I was doing it all myself. I mean, we were flipping houses, but I was doing it with subcontractors, and I was managing my own stuff, and I was still a realtor, and I was being a realtor during the day, and then I was going out, or being a realtor in the morning, and then I was going out and doing the flips in the afternoon, and I was literally running 2 businesses by myself, and driving around circles, 100 miles a day. And at that point, I kind of almost had like a midlife crisis, even though I was only, 32 or whatever at the time. And I realized something had to give. Like, I wasn't happy, even though by every definition of the word, I was successful. I was unleashing success to people's definition, right? On right. Facebook. But at that point, like, I knew I wasn't successful because I wasn't happy with anything. And I was, fighting with my wife and not spending time with my family, and, it just wasn't right. So my big change and my big epiphany, my big aha moment was when I learned to let go of my ego a little bit and start to trust people and start to let go of the vine. And that was the point when I split my companies, and I split them between my retail sales business and my rehab business. And I learned to let go of my retail sales business and give it up to my assistant, who at the time was licensed. She was one of my first employees, and she's still with us, and let her run all that so that I could focus on the rehab business. And that was really the big turning point for me. We went from that one employee we scaled up to probably almost 40 some employees at one point. And now we're back down to probably 25 or 30 employees, which is really the right spot. So, and that's a period of 5 to 6 years. We went from 1 to, 40 some back down to the right number. So, we learned a lot of lessons along the way, but the big lesson for me was learning how to trust people, set the right expectations, become an actual leader, work on myself more than anything else, and really make that switch to where I could focus on allowing people to be responsible and start to help them grow along the way, become their coach, become their mentor, and grow great teams. That's really the big secret. That's the big game changer for me.
Absolutely. And I'm guilty of it too. I wear many hats, and every time I'm like, I don't have the money for it. When you start spending the money to have people help you out, life-changing, because your time is more valuable. I had a question though, do you think it's worth it to put in those 100-hour weeks for a period of time? Because obviously you grew your business and you were financially successful enough to then be able to afford to hire these people and start to grow your company and give yourself the freedom of time. So looking back, do you think it was worth it to put in those 100-hour weeks?
So I think that far too many people try to create this passive business way too quick. They try to get themselves out of it way too quick. I think a lot of us are guilty of trying to, take themselves out of the box. We talk about working on your business and not working in your business. And I think a lot of people take that the wrong way. Working on your business is work, right? Like a lot of people think like, oh, I'm going to go work on my business at the beach and drink Mai Tais and play on my cell phone. You're thinking more, you're creating, you're problem solving, you're looking for higher level problems. You're being a coach, you're being a mentor, you're being a leader, you're doing different type of work. That's working on your business. It doesn't mean you get to sit on your ass 5 days a week and let people do your job. That's not working on your business. So the difference is yes. To answer your initial question, yes, I would have started to delegate quicker. If I knew then what I know now, I would have hired people quicker. I would have delegated quicker. I probably still would have been working 100 hours a week, but I would have been working differently. I would have been working on my business. I would have been working at a higher level. The truth is I probably work 100 hours a week now, but it doesn't feel like it because I'm just constantly thinking about my people. I'm constantly thinking about the people I coach. I'm constantly thinking about the people in my mastermind. I'm constantly thinking about my team, what they need, what their levels are, what their systems are, how we can dial things in, how we can make them better. I mean, I go to bed thinking about this stuff. I wake up thinking about this stuff. The difference is it doesn't stress me out because I love it. Right. So are you focusing 100 hours a week on stuff that's burning you out, or are you focusing on stuff that's actually filling you up and creating passion and creating more energy and making you want to jump out of bed at 3:30 in the morning because you can't wait to get back to it? Like if you're not getting out of bed with that type of energy and passion, you're probably not aligned with what it is that you want to do every day. And that's why when I tell people to wake up early, they're like, I don't want to wake up early. It's like, because you're trying to avoid what it is you have to do that day, not jump into it head first. Like there are days when I can't sleep because I want to do what it is that we have to get done that day. And there's people on my team the same way. When you're really passionate and you love what you do, you don't have time to sleep. You don't want to sleep. You're focused on this stuff all day long. So the truth is I'm probably working more today than I was 5-7 years ago. But the difference is I'm truly passionate about what I do now versus trying to chase or be on that mouse wheel and try to figure out what it is I should be doing. Now I do what I love.
I was wondering, you talk about being a leader and delegating and, focusing on your people. What do you think are some of the top qualities that a great leader should have?
So I think one of the top qualities, we talk about this a lot, right? And this actually changed my mindset big time, is a book called Scaling Up. There's a book called Scaling Up. I can't think of the author right now, but you guys obviously can Google it. And I'm not pitching the book, but it's a good book. And in that book, they talk about the difference between being a manager and being a coach. And this was a big game changer for me because I was kind of doing this for a long time and I never really realized it. They never really put it into words. We all have a tendency to call people managers. You hire someone, they're a project manager. You hire someone, they're whatever, situation manager, lead manager, whatever. They're managing something. And the fact is that people should not be managed. People are not equipment. They're not, a system. They're not a process. Like human resources is a terrible definition because people are not resources. Resources are meant to be burned up. Like gasoline is a resource, right? And people are meant to be used and then recharged. And then, so we use the energy and then we have to recharge it again. So instead of calling people managers, we like to use the term coaches, right? Because instead of managing someone, which is usually that standing over top and saying, you do this, you do that, this is your next move, right? A coach is someone who, think about it, it's like your little league coach or your football coach or your wrestling coach, right? They're going to be hard sometimes because they know it's best for you, but they're also going to back off and they're going to figure out what you need to succeed, right? Sometimes they're going to drill you because they know it's time to get better. Sometimes they're going to be in your corner and they're going to be sitting there making sure that you have exactly what you need to go win that next match, right? So you have to be a coach in order to help your team succeed. And sometimes that means jumping in. Sometimes it means helping out. Sometimes it means giving them a boost. Sometimes it means taking them out for a beer. But you have to be there 100% of the time to help your team align with getting what they need to be successful. And managers can't do that. Managers are there to clock in from 9 to 5 and look at a spreadsheet and see if their people are doing the KPIs that they're doing. A coach does that and then some.
Man, so true. I look at managers all the time and I'm like, man, not every manager is a leader, right? A leader can be a manager, but it's such a difference in expectations of the role and what they actually do and perform. So you grew this company and you're doing all these flips. How do you identify these flips? And I know you're not in the day-to-day now, but how do you get people in your company to find these flips and where are you making all this money at? The country right now is, seems like the economy has been booming, but are you solely focused in Jersey or are you guys nationwide?
We really, we have a mindset that when it comes to real estate, I always go deep before we go wide, right? So markets go all over the place, cast a wide net. To me, that doesn't work in real estate, especially when you're talking about single families, which are literally every block and everywhere you turn your head, right? If you want to focus on a more niche market, Obviously I think you have to expand, if you're talking about big multifamily or big commercial stuff like that, you might have to expand your market. But for us, it's very easy to go deep, way deep in your own little market before you have to go wide. And what that means is, we've been focused now for over a decade on 3 counties in my backyard. And the reason that we're so successful is because I can basically tell you every street in every county. If you said that there's a house on XYZ in XYZ town, I probably either bought a house on that street, looked at a house on that street, talked to someone on that street. I know the values in that street. And for us, that's what makes us really, really successful. The second piece is that we don't really consider ourselves real estate investors. We really consider our business a marketing engine. That's what we do best. We generate more leads than probably anybody else in our area, probably anybody else in a lot of real estate investing industries, right? So we are a massive lead gen company. We generate leads. We put deals together, and then we have multiple, again, just like when we purchase, we have exit strategies. We have multiple exits on the purchase. So, we're either going to take it down for ourselves. We can take that lead and convert it to a retail sale. We can take the lead and assign it as a wholesale deal. We can take the lead and, take it as a turnkey deal and keep it and, rent the property. There's so many different ways we can chop that thing up. So really, on the whole, we look at ourselves as a lead gen marketing business that brings in a ton of lead. That lead flow comes in, then we get to decide what to do with it afterwards, right? So when we focus on the lead gen portion, all the rest of it kind of falls into play. Just get the leads, get the phones ringing, and figure out the rest after the fact. And I think that's a part of what made us successful over the years, because we never let our foot off the gas when it comes to marketing and lead gen.
Yeah, knowing what your company really is and what you really are doing great at is super important. Interesting mindset switch there to help you become even more successful. I also love what you said, just like being so insanely focused on those niches, knowing everything about your community, the 3 counties, every single street. I've been using this phrase a lot, but it's like you can be a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And it's like, if you don't put your focus somewhere, and intensely put that effort in, you're not going to be successful. So
100%.
Yeah. So talking about going from operator to owner, we've talked about working on your business. We talked about doing key hires, but how do you actually scale that? So, I mean, I know you say you still work about 100 hours a week, or, you just love what you do, you're doing it. What were some of the first things you did to actually start to slowly pull yourself out of your business?
Yeah, well, like I said, the first thing is learning to let go of the vine, and I mean that's obviously way easier said than done. For a lot of people, it's ego, right? For most of us, it's ego. I'm no different. When we decide the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hire somebody and we're going to give them responsibility, all these things go through our head. Like, they're never going to do it as well as we can, right? What's going to happen when they screw up? What's going to happen when they lose money? What's going to happen when But here's the bottom line. Like, Corey, you know this obviously from experience, but all these things are going to happen. And number one, they're all going to happen, right? Number two, you've done the same thing. So you can't expect someone to come in and be some kind of perfect employee, right? Because you've lost money, you've screwed up, you've made mistakes, you've said the wrong thing, you've done the wrong thing. And part of being an owner is understanding that whoever you hire, setting your own internal expectations of what to expect from them, because you're not perfect, right? But what I think I see a lot of people go wrong is they expect everyone that they hire to do everything 100%. So you have to set that internal barometer of what you expect from people, and you have to bring it down a little bit, because your best employee, no matter how great they are, and this is us, by the way, this is not a reflection of them or that team member that comes on board. It's us, right? You have to set it at like 80% and expect that no matter how amazing they are, they're only going to live up to 80% of what you think that they're worth. Because the fact is that you probably don't produce more than 80% of what you're worth. If you reflect back on your last week or 10 days or 2 weeks, and you started grading yourself half as much as you grade your team, you would give yourself a D. I know I would.
I always feel like there's more that I can give, more left in the tank.
Always. So if you know that you're not even giving your all every day, they're getting paid a paycheck. How do you expect them to give 110% when you didn't even give 110%? This is the quandary. This is what happens when people hire people. They think that they're supposed to, climb to the top of the mountain tomorrow. And then they get shell shocked when they realize, like, oh my God. But here's the reality. If you hire the right person to do the right thing, they're going to multiply you. One of the best hires for most entrepreneurs is an executive assistant. When that person comes on board, they should be good at all the stuff that you're really bad at. And for most type A people that I interview anyway, business owners, generally we're great decision makers. We're fast. We're run and gun. We never can sit down and take things from all the way from A to Z, right? We have great ideas. We generate great stuff, right? But good admins and good executive assistants are good at what? They're good at follow through. They love detail. They love going all the way. They love making sure it's getting finished and it's 100% dialed in. They have that detail orientation. So when we hire that person, they complete us. They make us look good. And generally, they take the things that are all in our mind and jumbled up, and they generally get them 100% across the finish line. So now all of a sudden, they take all that stress off of our plate, and they make us feel successful, even though sometimes it might just be a mirage. But just getting that stuff off of our plate and getting that stress level off of us, it allows us to go be free enough to go do what we need to do to be more successful. So sometimes that executive assistant is the best hire you can have. And it might be the first one. For me, it was the first one before I even had a company. And inevitably, those people can sometimes grow to a super high level in your company because they get to spend the most face time with the COO. I'm sorry, the CEO, right? So a lot of benefits to that first couple hires.
Yeah, absolutely. And God, man, I feel like you nailed it on the head with a lot of entrepreneurs that I talk to. They're great at visionary, and they're great at passion and like you said, decision making. But a lot of times, sometimes it's the step-by-step detail. And I work with some people that are phenomenal with the step-by-step detail. I'm like running and gunning at 100 miles an hour, and all of a sudden they go, wait, Corey, wait. What was that right after this step? I'm like, oh, yeah, I didn't say that. Okay, well, we need to do this. And they refocus me and direct me. So all of a sudden, by the time we're done having our meeting, we've got this entire roadmap of what I was trying to accomplish. Those people are definitely very, very important to the business. That's for sure.
Huge. Yeah.
So, for new entrepreneurs looking out or people looking to get into real estate, what are some of the best pieces of advice? If you could go back 10, 15 years, what would you tell yourself? What would you tell them today?
For people that are getting into it, I think that the number one thing I would tell them is you got to take action, right? Look, you can get all the information you need all over the internet. You can learn everything you need for free. But the reason that people buy all the stuff that's out there and the courses and the trainings and everything, because when you pay attention, right? It's all available for free. It's all available on YouTube, right? You could pay $5,000 to go to a Tony Robbins event and he teaches you the same stuff for free on YouTube. But why do people get so enamored about going to the event? Because they paid, they're invested. Now all of a sudden they're watching him, he's live. You can watch it on YouTube. It's the same thing with real estate. It's all available. There's so many highly qualified people. Now, of course, make sure they're highly qualified and make sure that they're people that are actually doing deals or they have some testimonials or whatever. But the stuff is out there. The difference between the people who are successful and the people who are just sitting on the fence, on the sidelines and never do anything is you take action. And in the real estate space, just like every other business, every other industry, if you want to get somewhere, you got to do it. You got to go out there. You got to fall. You got to fumble. You got to try. You got to get beat down. You got to stand back up. You got to get beat down. And here's the secret to really unleashing the success within the real estate business. You're never going to stop falling down. You're never going to stop fumbling. Even when you get to 1,000 flips and $20 million a year in sales, every other day there's going to be a left hook that's going to knock you down, and you got to stand back up and do it again. Because at every level, the only difference between the super successful real estate investors and the starting real estate investors is I can take a better punch than you. That's it.
Okay. So, I really believe that, life is just going to hit you hard and it's really how you respond to failure. But what motivates you to keep going? If every day you get a left hook, why do you keep going? What motivates you?
Just the love of the sport, right? Why does McGregor, keep getting in the ring and why does he go fight the top boxer in the planet and get crucified in front of everybody, right? It's the love of the sport. I mean, I think once you have a passion for this, and once you started to build a business, and once you started to embrace, like the Navy SEALs had this. I think I actually did a podcast on this a couple months ago. And they have a term called "embrace the suck." right?
Yeah.
Like, and I call it being comfortable with being uncomfortable. And a lot of people, there's all different terminology for it. But the truth is that, like, you only get better, you only live life, you only start to engage and learn about yourself when you're pushing yourself to your limits. You know, when you're starting to get to that edge where things are falling apart and you have to create a solution for it, when you're starting to have bigger and bigger problems and you fix them and you start to level up to a different place in time, that's when you're living, right? If I was solving problems from 5 years ago, I'd be bored out of my mind and create new opportunities and create new joint venture partnerships with bigger and better people. Like, for us, that's the thrill of the chase. That's the thrill of the business. And that's getting people involved at a higher level.
Has there ever been a point in your career where, you know, it wasn't just a left hook, but you really got knocked down? You know, you failed really bad. And if there was, like, you know, how did you manage to pick yourself back up?
I wouldn't. Well, first of all, I hate the term failure because, you know, failure means there's no turning back, right? So, you know, I call them roadblocks or obstacles or stumbles or getting punched in the face or whatever.
I love that. By the way, it's just how you define it.
It's just how you define it, right? Because a failure you can't come back from. But so no, I don't think we've had any failures, obviously, because we're still going. You know, being an entrepreneur is every day you're at risk. Every day there's a challenge lurking around the corner. But you know, what's the alternative? Going and getting a job? Like, hell no, right? I'd rather live this way than live, you know, with a job. And the fact of the matter is that's, you know, and that's okay, by the way. I always have to have this disclaimer, like, people listen to these things and they're like, oh, well, I have a job. Listen, if you like having a job, stay that way. No, nobody's trying to convince you to go be an entrepreneur. It takes a different type of person to do what we do. Like, it's not every day is fun. You know, some days are awesome, and it's you know, some days you're dry heaving because of all the pressure, and some days it's super stressful, and some days you're enjoying life. But you know, I think the challenge is that you have to love this thing, and you have to have a passion for it, or you know what, there is that, you know, sometimes that comfy cushion, which is really a lie, of having a job. You know, some people enjoy that false hope of going to work for somebody, when, you know, the truth is that you see big companies go out of business every day. And, you know, in my opinion, having a job is you know, no different in a lot of ways, but
it's the comfort level. What are you comfortable with?
It's the comfort level.
What risk tolerance do you have? And I know a lot of people who just want that 9-to-5 job, live on the weekend. It's a simpler life. It's easier. It's totally okay. In fact, as an entrepreneur, you need people like that to be able to work for you. You know, it's like you want people for sure who are tied to the mission of your company. But at the end of the day, you know, if everybody in your company was a true entrepreneur, they might be going out and starting their own businesses.
And we don't mind that. I absolutely don't mind that. I really don't. I call them entrepreneurs. Actually, like 90% of our employees are people starting businesses within the business. And you know, if they want to go out and start their own thing, I'll support them. I'll help them. A lot of times we'll JV with them. We'll create opportunities for them. So I actually have no problem with that. And I think that creates a culture where a lot of people will do. You know, I'm not pressing people to work on Sunday morning, but if I send a message out, 90% of the people in my company will respond back to it. So, you know, I think that creates a good culture, especially for what we do. But, you know, getting back to something you said about, you know, a couple minutes ago, I don't even know what day of the week it is most of the time. I honestly have to ask my wife what day it is, because, you know, when you do this kind of stuff, there is no calendar. You know, I'm constantly looking down to figure out what day it is. And so, you know, I think that to me, that's a benefit, because, you know, that really Sunday is no different from Thursday to me.
You know, you talk about company culture and the entrepreneur spirit. I've heard that term before. I absolutely love it. How do you, like, do you guys have morning meetings? Like, how do you help people build that type of excitement in your company where they get an email on Sunday morning and instead of ignoring it like most people, they actually go and respond?
Well, like I said, it's not everybody. It's probably 90% of people. The way we create meetings within our business is, first of all, I eliminate all bullshit meetings. There really is no meetings in our company. We have one meeting per week. And I literally just got done right before this call. So we do, and actually it's always Monday mornings from 9:30 to 11, but it got pushed this week because two of our executives couldn't make it yesterday. Always Monday morning, 9:30 to 11. And that's it. That's the meeting for the week. So everybody's either in person or it's a Zoom call. And we cover high level, we call them rocks, which is our quarterly goals. We go over our to-do list. We go over our wins, and we call them our bests. So like business best and personal best for the last week. So everybody shares something that happened to them personally, something that happened to them in business that's good for the last week. We cover our headlines, which is like big things going on, whatever, new house listed, new house sold, whatever, the XYZ did a great job on the event, whatever, something like that, an announcement. And then we spend most of the time doing what's called IDS, which is identify, define, and solve issues. So really the only reason, and this is probably a key takeaway for a lot of people listening, because this is going to help people define success. If your business is having meetings for the sake of having meetings, you need to cut that shit out post haste. That needs to end right now. One of the biggest learning lessons I've learned over the last 5 years, we used to have meetings on top of meetings on top of meetings. There'd be people meeting just for the sake of meeting and be like, oh, it's Tuesday's 2:00 meeting. It's like, what the hell are you meeting about? Oh, we always meet on Tuesday. You should not be meeting unless you're solving problems, solving big high level issues. And then that creates to-do items, right? So when you solve an issue, 90% of the time, you're going to have something that has to be done to solve the issue, right? So the issue comes out, we're having a problem with one of the contractors at one of the jobs. Okay, great. Let's talk about it. What's the issue? Blah, blah, blah. We talk about it. All right. So what's the solve? Well, the solve is that, we have to get some other subcontractor pricing. Okay, cool. That's the to-do item, right? So you're going to get more subcontractor pricing by next week. We run through the to-do list, right? Was this done? Was that done? Was this done? Was that done? We spend the rest of that meeting solving more issues, right? Now, that's just a silly example. Obviously, they get a lot deeper than that. Sometimes it's complex marketing strategies and stuff like that, but the whole team solves them together. As a group, we solve those issues because you're getting input from different departments that might not work on that problem. That is literally the only meeting we have all week. The whole team, everybody, there's no other outside meetings. There's nothing else. Everything else is handled inside Slack. All the communications in there. We have multiple VAs that work for us, so they're all communicating from inside Slack. And the rest of it, and all the coordination throughout the week, gets handled inside Slack for the rest of the week. No more meetings.
Man, that is a great takeaway. I've actually interviewed some entrepreneurs who are in the music industry, and they actually refuse to have meetings. So they're like, if we can't do it over email, like, we don't need to meet. And I only think that the value with in-person meetings is sometimes when you're closing a deal. You don't want to go there to talk about the deal. It's like you want to go there to close it and get comfortable sometimes. But for company meetings, I love that strategy. That was really, really helpful, actually. What's a common mistake that people make when they're starting or scaling? Because you've got great experience with scaling. And how, what's a common mistake that you see, and how do you think we can avoid it?
I would say one common mistake, because I've helped a lot of people scale, and I've helped a lot of people. I've tried to help a lot of people who bumbled along the way. One of the mistakes that I made, which is I don't even consider a mistake, because if I didn't do it, I wouldn't have been able to figure it out. I hired a lot of people really fast, and one of the challenges is, when you make a lot of money, you start to figure you can solve problems by throwing people at problems. That's really not a solution, as I found out the hard way. I would come up with an issue and say, well, let's just hire somebody and make that go away, right? And, I went from being an island and doing it all on my own to within a couple of years, like, oh, well, we just hire more people. And then ultimately I woke up and we had 40, 50 people in here, and I was going, we have people that I don't even know what they do. And are they adding to the bottom line revenue? And so it got super, super complex. And the bottom line profit actually went down. And in scaling up, they talk about this. There's the mouse business, the gazelle business, and the elephant business. We became what was considered an elephant business, which is you get big, fat, and sloppy, and unwieldy, and you're not fast anymore. You're not nimble. You can't make quick decisions. And at that level, we were having those stupid meetings. We're having meetings on top of meetings, and people were meeting for no reason. I mean, people I didn't even know. I would walk into meetings and introduce myself to people. It was ridiculous. So that's when we scaled back. Actually, we actually did this before I ever read the book, but we did it without even knowing it. I look back now and I say, okay, we became a gazelle again. We started to cut all the fat. We lost all kinds of processors and unnecessary managers of things. They were managing people. We didn't even need the people they were managing. So we really started to get more succinct and more efficient and really streamlined our methods in a lot of different ways and cut out all kinds of different things that we didn't even need to be doing to begin with to make us do our business. And then really dialed it back. And when we did, we became more of that gazelle model where we're streamlined, we're super effective, we're profitable at what we do. We have the right people in the right seats to do what needs to get done, and not a person more unless we need that. So I went and hired too fast. But I will tell you, I think that one of the biggest challenges is people don't hire fast enough. So as I tell you, that was my challenge. I think the opposite challenge is when I try to help people scale, they're super, super timid about hiring, especially in that like 3 to 5 space. They get in that niche where they have three employees, 2 or 3 employees. And it's like, okay, you need to hire that next big person. Maybe it's like a project level person, or the big, whatever that next big hire is. And then they start to tiptoe. Now I can do that job. I don't need to level up from that. I'll handle that. And they actually start to revert because they're making payroll. They have expenses now. They have overhead. They might have moved out of their home office. Now they're paying rent to a real office. Like that transition from being a solopreneur to being a real business is it's a shell shock for people. And now having real bills, they start to look back and they're like, man, a year ago I was making X amount of dollars, and now I have 5 employees and I'm still making the same amount of money. Well, here's the challenge. That's sometimes that's the turning point. That's like really when, if you had 2 more employees, you might be making 5 times more money, right? So really, sometimes there's that little window where if you might have actually started to build something scalable, and then you're retreating back to your old ways because you had a bad month, or something went wrong, or you hired one bad employee, or you got to push through that. You got to push past that first initial fear of growth, and make sure you hire enough to make yourself profitable and really start to be able to work on your business a little bit.
Yeah, wow, that's some great advice. As you were saying that, I was thinking, I feel like when people hire, they do all this effort, they work really hard, and then it doesn't work out. What's your advice on if an employee is not working out and you might need to fire them? What do you do?
Well, I have a whole separate system on that. To me, hiring and firing, it's all about setting expectations. So Darren Hardy does a really good job of explaining this, and he talks about a bad hire can actually cost you 2 years' salary. And the truth of the reason is that the reason it does that is because most people, first of all, we act on emotion way too much in business instead of acting on results and data. So what happens is we hire somebody. It takes us 6 to 9 months to get a real feel for somebody and decide that, I just don't know if this person's the right fit, kind of thing. And then, 9 months in, we're like, I'm going to give them some more time and see if they, get a grasp of it. You know what I mean? Next thing you know, you're a year and a half in, you're like, oh, this isn't the right fit. This is, they definitely got to go. And then you start like I forget the word I'm looking for, but like you start thinking like, well, maybe I'll hire. Let me throw an ad in Monster. Let me get somebody else in here. You start interviewing somebody. Next thing you know, it's like you're 18 months, 24 months into this person that you probably knew within 90 days wasn't a good fit. And tell me why I know this from experience. I've done this probably 5 or 10 times, right? So I knew after doing this enough times that like, dude, I need a better way to do this. So what we designed probably a couple years into the hiring phase was, this was after finally one of my first hire, actually, the one I was telling you about, my assistant turned retail manager, coach in that retail space, turns around and found one of our employees sleeping in the office, like literally like sleeping. This is way back when we were new. And she was been with us for like 9 or 10 months. And I knew like month 1, we should have got rid of her, but I was like, she's a friend of a friend. She was referred to us. She's XY. We tell ourselves so many lies about why people should stay on our payroll. But we do it anyway. So I designed this system around hiring. And what we do is basically this. Everyone who comes in the door is on a 90-day probationary period. And what that means is in the first 90 days, for any reason, I don't care if you walk in with a yellow shirt on and I don't like that yellow shirt, I can fire you for that. Like, you're out, you're done, right? Like, I have a bad day. I don't like how you looked at me. I don't like how you smiled at me. I don't like how you said hello. I don't care, whatever. I'm having a bad day. Look, I'm sorry, Corey, it didn't work out, and I appreciate you. Have a nice life, right? Like, and same thing for you. You come in, you don't like it, you're having a bad day, we treated you bad, or you don't like the pressure you're under, or whatever. Same thing. There's absolutely nothing keeping us, together in the first 90 days. It's a probationary period. It's a trial. It's a feeling out process. We're deciding if we like each other. We're deciding if we want to keep working together. We're deciding if it's a good fit. It's like a dating phase. Right. Yeah. We're not married yet. I didn't even engage. I didn't even propose. Right. We're not engaged. Like right now, we're just dating. Right. And we're free to see other people. Right. So I could literally hire someone else for your job in that 90 days, and I'll let you compete over it. I don't care. The fact is, you're earning that job in the first 90 days. And in that 90 days, we set expectations, and we do a 30, 60, and a 90-day review. So in the first 30, day one, you're hired. I say, Corey, these are the 5 things I expect you to be able to do and master in the first 30 days. Great, go for it. Do a lot of training, a lot of processing, a lot of videos, and all that kind of stuff. After 30 days, we sit down. So how'd you do? What do you think? Did you master those things? Okay, what do we miss, right? What did I do right? What did your coach do right? What did you like about the team? What don't you like? Give me your feedback, right? We're big on feedback too, by the way. I don't care if it's me, anybody. I want to hear what they have to say because we want to get better, right? And then we set the next 30 days. We do the same thing. We do this 3 times. And on the 90-day review, if they're still there and if we like them and if we want them to stay on board, we offer them $5,000 to leave.
What?
Yeah. We offer them $5,000 to quit.
I love this program. I did not see that coming. Wow.
Yep. Yeah, we write them a check for $5,000 and we tell them if they'll take it, they can quit and they can walk out the door and, whatever. So if they make it through the whole 90, then we're giving them that out. And we want to see people's commitment. We want to see their level of, I want this job, I want this position, I've earned it, I want to be here, it's worth staying. So we write them a check. We tell them, you can take it or you can rip it up. And we wait to see what they do. And frankly, in my opinion, I don't care if they're a $12 an hour employee or they're a $100,000 a year employee. If they take that check, that's the best $5,000 we ever spent.
Yeah, because it saves you a lot of problems in the long run, and you don't have to pay 24 months of salary.
Yep.
Wow, very innovative. I gotta tell you that is shocked me. Definitely, I didn't see that coming, but gotta save you so much pain in the long run and just keep your business moving.
Yep.
What a way to kind of close out this interview as well. So I really appreciate it. Joe, where can we find you online?
It's simple. You can go to joeevangelisti.com. I could spell it for you, but I'm sure you're going to have it written somewhere in the show notes or whatever.
For sure.
Excuse me. Yeah, it's very simple. You can find me on Facebook the same way.
Okay, awesome. So Joe, I always ask this, and scaling up your business to millions of dollars a year and, going to 50 employees back down to 25, you've obviously learned a lot of lessons and gained a lot of success. But for you, what is your next level of success?
My next level right now is just helping others to do the same thing. I mean, that's where I'm at right now. We do 2-day events to help people, level up their mind, their body, their relationships, and their business. We do those probably 8 to 10 times a year. We call it the round table. That's a yearly investment, and people get to come to all the events. Then we do a once a week coaching call live, and answer all the high level challenges, questions, and there's accountability within that group. So my focus right now is to help people do the same thing, and that's one of my big passions, and where I'm having my most excitement is watching people go through those same transitions and helping them grow and helping them get to the same place.
And that's an awesome goal, and I definitely I share that passion as well. Joe, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Absolutely, brother. Thanks for having me.
If you enjoyed the show and learned something of value, the one ask that I have is please go subscribe, whether you're on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube. And if you leave us a 5-star rating and review, that absolutely helps us get our message out there. Each week, I'm going to continue to interview amazing people, and we're going to break down their tools and strategies to help get you real results. Feel free to visit the website, unleashsuccess.com, and subscribe to our newsletter so you get updates each week. And remember, knowing is not enough. knowledge alone is not power. Action is. Because action is the only way you're going to get the results you want in life and truly live the life of your dreams. So take some action, subscribe to the podcast today, and get ready to unleash success in you.